The Great Hall on Nexus Prime had never seen so much fear. Representatives from every corner of the galaxy sat in their seats, but nobody was calm. The emergency lights cast red shadows across the room, making everyone look sick with worry. Admiral Kavi stood at the center of the hall. His crystal-like skin, which usually sparkled with confidence, now looked dull and gray. He had fought in wars across the galaxy for 300 years, but today his hands shook as he held the data pad. "Friends," he began, his voice echoing, in the silent chamber. "We are here because our galaxy is dying." The words hit the room like a physical blow. Ambassador Yelu from the Korthax Empire shifted in her seat, all 6 of her arms wrapping around herself for comfort. Her people had survived 5 different galactic wars. But this was different. This was extinction. "Show them," whispered Chancellor Voss from his floating chair. The old leader of the hegemony had lived for 800 years, but he looked ancient now. Kavi activated the holographic display. A 3-dimensional map of the galaxy appeared above their heads, spinning slowly. Red dots marked the destroyed systems. There were 17 of them, all on the outer edge of the galaxy. "The Devourers appeared 6 months ago," Kavi explained. "We don't know where they came from, they just arrived. Each red dot you see was once a star system full of life. Now there is nothing." He pointed to the nearest red dot. "The Altair system had 12 billion people. The Devourers consumed, everything in 3 days. Not just the people or the planets, everything. The stars, the asteroids, even the empty space between worlds. They left nothing but darkness." Ambassador Neela from the Peaceful Confederation stood up. Her people had never fought a war in their entire history. They solved everything with talking and trading. But surely we can negotiate with them. Every intelligent species can be reasoned with. Kavi's laugh was bitter. "We tried. Admiral Zeon led a diplomatic mission to their main fleet. He broadcast friendship messages in 7,000 languages. The Devourers responded by consuming his entire fleet while he was still talking. They ate the metal, the energy, even the radio waves he was using to communicate." The room fell silent again. Everyone knew Admiral Zeon. He was famous for making peace between enemies. If he couldn't talk to them, nobody could. "What do they want?" asked General Mako of the warrior clans. His people understood war better than most. "Everything," Kavi replied simply. "They don't want territory or resources or power. They want to consume. They eat matter and energy and grow stronger. They learn from everything they destroy. Each battle makes them smarter and harder to fight." He changed the display to show battle recordings. Ships appeared on the screen, but they didn't look like normal spacecraft. They moved like living creatures, all tentacles and teeth and hungry mouths. They flowed through space like water, wrapping around enemy vessels and dissolving them. "Our combined fleets have fought them 17 times, Kavi continued. "We've used every weapon we have. Plasma cannons, quantum torpedoes, reality bombs, even time displacement weapons. Nothing works. They adapt to everything within hours." Ambassador Yelu spoke up, her voice barely above a whisper. "How long do we have?" "At their current speed, they'll reach the middle systems in 8 months, Kavi answered. "The core worlds will fall in 1 year. Total galactic extinction in 18 months. The words hung in the air like a death sentence. 18 months. In all the millions of years of galactic civilization, they had 18 months left. Chancellor Voss floated forward in his chair. "There is one option we haven't discussed." Everyone turned to look at him. The old leader's eyes were dark with memory and fear. "Sector 7 Alpha," he said quietly. The reaction was immediate. Half the room gasped. The other half started shouting. Ambassador Neela actually fell back into her seat as if she'd been struck. "No," said General Mako firmly. "Absolutely not. We swore we would never disturb them again. The humans have been contained for 800 years for good reason," added Admiral Kavi. "They're too dangerous, too violent, too unpredictable." Chancellor Voss held up a hand for silence. "I was there during the Altair incident," he said, slowly. "I saw what they did, what they're capable of. Yes, they're monsters, but right now, we need monsters." Ambassador Yelu's voice was shaking. "My grandmother told me stories about the humans, about the things they did during the siege of Altair. She said they didn't just win the battle, they turned it into art. Horrible, beautiful art painted with their enemy's blood. They've been locked away in their solar system for 8 centuries, said Neela. "Maybe they've changed. Maybe they've become peaceful." Kavi shook his head. "Intelligence reports suggest otherwise. Long-range scans show massive construction projects, unknown energy signatures. They've been building something in there. We just don't know what." "What if they've become even worse?" asked General Mako. 800 years of isolation. What if we're not just releasing monsters? What if we're releasing devils?" Chancellor Voss looked around the room at all the frightened faces. Representatives of 47 different species, all united in their fear. Fear of the devourers. Fear of extinction. And fear of the alternative. "Then we make a choice," he said finally. "We can die fighting the devourers and be remembered as brave. Or we can ask the humans for help and maybe, just maybe, some of us will survive to regret it." The vote was unanimous. Not because everyone agreed, but because there was no other choice. The galaxy was dying, and only monsters could save it, as the representatives filed out of the hall. Ambassador Neela stopped beside Chancellor Voss. "What if they refuse to help us?" The old leader looked tired beyond his years. "Then we die. But if they agree—" He paused, remembering old nightmares. "If they agree, we might wish we had died with the devourers instead." The message was sent that very night, transmitted on old diplomatic frequencies toward Sector 7 Alpha, toward Earth, toward humanity. The galaxy had cried for help. Now, all they could do was wait to see what answered. Captain Park Daeho was drinking coffee when the message arrived. He sat in the command chair of his patrol ship, watching Neptune's storms swirl in the distance. It was a quiet Tuesday, the kind of day when nothing important ever happened. Then his communications officer spoke up. "Captain, we're getting something strange on the old diplomatic channels." Daeho raised an eyebrow. The diplomatic channels hadn't been used in 800 years, not since the galaxy had locked humanity away in their own solar system like dangerous animals. "Play it," he ordered. The message was simple and desperate. "The galaxy requires assistance. Terms negotiable. Respond if humanity still exists." Daeho stared at the screen for a long moment. Then he started laughing. It wasn't a happy laugh. It was the kind of laugh that came from irony so thick you could cut it with a knife. "They're asking for our help," he told his crew. "After 8 centuries of treating us like monsters, they want us to save them." Lieutenant Kim So-ra looked up from her station. Her eyes glowed slightly blue, a sign of the genetic modifications all humans carried now. "Should we respond, sir?" "Oh, we'll respond," Daeho said, still grinning. "But first, let's send this to Earth Command. They're going to love this." The message reached Earth in minutes. It bounced from satellite to satellite, through quantum networks that the galaxy didn't even know existed. Within an hour, every human military base in the solar system was buzzing with activity. General Kim Na-ri stood in the war room deep beneath Seoul. The chamber was huge, filled with holographic displays and quantum computers. But the most impressive thing about it was the people working there. They didn't look entirely human anymore. Some had silver skin that gleamed like metal. Others had extra arms or eyes that could see through dimensions. A few existed mostly as energy patterns, their consciousness stored in computer networks. 800 years of isolation had given humanity time to change, to evolve, to become something new. "Status report," Nari ordered. Her own modifications were subtle but powerful. Her brain could process information faster than any computer, and her eyes could see probability patterns flowing through space and time. Colonel Choi Min-ho stepped forward. His legs were mechanical now, designed for combat in zero gravity. His arms could punch through solid steel. "All fleets are reporting ready status. The enhanced soldiers are eager to deploy. It's been too long since we had a real war." Dr. Lee So-young appeared as a hologram beside them. She had given up her physical body decades ago, choosing to exist as pure thought and energy. Her consciousness lived in quantum computers spread across the solar system. "I've been analyzing the message," she reported. "Long-range sensors confirm massive destruction in the outer rim. Whatever they're fighting, it's consuming entire star systems." Nari nodded. "What do we know about these devourers?" "Limited information," So-young replied. "But based on the destruction patterns, they appear to be some kind of self-replicating machinery. They consume matter and energy to build more of themselves." "Sounds familiar," muttered Choi Min-ho. "Remember the Gray Swarm incident?" Nari smiled coldly. The Gray Swarm had been humanity's attempt to create self-replicating war. Machines. It had worked too well. The machines had tried to consume Earth before humanity managed to stop them. That was 300 years ago. They'd learned a lot since then. "The galaxy locked us away because we were too dangerous," Nari said slowly. "Too violent. Too willing to use forbidden technologies. Now they want us to save them from something worse than us." She walked to the main display, which showed the entire galaxy. Red markers indicated the destroyed systems. The damage was spreading faster than any conventional military could respond to. "Ma'am," said Major Yoon Hai-ri, materializing from the shadows near the wall. Her body was partially phased, existing in multiple dimensions at once. "The Stealth Corps is ready for deployment. We've been practicing for 8 centuries. We're better than we've ever been." Nari looked around the room at her officers. Each one was enhanced in different ways. Some were stronger, some were smarter, some existed in ways that would have been impossible centuries ago. They were the products of humanity's long isolation, their evolution guided by centuries of war games and preparation. "They're afraid of us," she said finally. "Even now, asking for our help, they're terrified of what we might do. They remember Altair." The Battle of Altair had been humanity's last major engagement before their isolation. An alien coalition had tried to destroy Earth, claiming humans were too violent to exist. Humanity had responded by turning the battle into a work of art. They hadn't just won. They had created something beautiful and terrible that still gave other species nightmares. "Should we help them?" asked Choi Min-ho. Nari considered this. Humanity had spent 800 years developing new technologies, new weapons, new ways of existing. They had created things that would terrify the galaxy even more than their ancestors had. "Of course we'll help them," she said, "but not because We forgive them for locking us away, not because we want to be part of their galaxy again. We'll help them because it will be fun. She turned to address the room. Prepare the fleet of shadows. Activate all enhanced human units. Begin quantum space preparation protocols. It's time to remind the galaxy why they were right to fear us. The war room erupted into activity. Holographic displays showed ship movements across the solar system. Massive vessels began emerging from hidden bases inside asteroids and moons. They didn't look like normal ships. They were organic and mechanical at the same time, designed using principles the galaxy had forbidden. Dr. So Young's hologram flickered with excitement. I'm detecting weapons signatures that shouldn't be possible. Phase cannons, reality bombs, entropy missiles. They've been busy. 800 years of preparation, Nari said with satisfaction. They wanted us contained because we were dangerous. Wait until they see what dangerous really means. Captain Park Dae-ho received new orders an hour later. He was to take his ship to the edge of the solar system and wait for the main fleet. As he prepared to leave Neptune's orbit, he thought about the message from the galaxy. Terms negotiable, he muttered to himself. They have no idea what they're about to negotiate with. His ship began moving toward the outer system, where the fleet of shadows was gathering. Behind him, Neptune's storms continued their eternal dance, beautiful and deadly in the darkness of space. The galaxy had asked for help. Humanity was about to give them exactly what they deserved. The human fleet appeared at the edge of Devourer space, like ghosts materializing from nightmares. 200 ships emerged from hyperspace, but they didn't use normal jump gates or wormholes. They simply tore holes in reality itself and stepped through. Commander Song Woo-jin stood on the bridge of the dreadnought Endless Night, watching his fleet take formation. The ship around him felt alive, its walls pulsing with organic rhythms. The boundary between machine and biology had blurred. Long ago in human technology, fleet status? He asked. All ships reporting ready, replied his tactical officer, Lieutenant Park Min-young. Her skull was transparent, revealing the quantum computer that had replaced her brain. The Devourers have detected us. They're moving to intercept. Wu Jin smiled. The Devourers thought they were facing another conventional fleet. They had no idea what humanity had become during 8 centuries of isolation. Show me the enemy, he ordered. The main screen displayed the Devourer swarm. It was horrifying to look at. Massive ships that moved like living creatures, all tentacles and teeth and consuming mouths. They flowed through space like liquid metal, reaching out to grab and devour everything in their path. Ugly, commented Captain Lee Hyo-jin from her stealth ship. Her voice came through the quantum network that connected all human vessels. And hungry. I can see where they've been feeding. The space around them was empty. Not just empty of ships or planets, but empty of everything. The Devourers had consumed the matter, the energy, even the fabric of space itself. What remained was a void that hurt to look at. Intel reports they adapt to any attack within hours, Wu Jin said. They learn from everything and become stronger. Good thing we don't plan to give them hours, replied Major Kang Dong-soo from his assault carrier. His ship was full of enhanced soldiers who existed at the edge of what could still be called human. The Devourer fleet was massive. Thousands of ships, each one the size of a small moon. They moved with perfect coordination, like fingers on a giant hand reaching out to grab the human fleet. They're hailing us, reported Park Min-young. Put them through, Wu Jin ordered. The voice that came through the speakers wasn't really a voice. It was the sound of metal grinding against metal, of stars being consumed and turned into raw energy. New prey detected, composition unknown, will analyze, will consume, will improve. Charming, muttered Lieutenant Colonel Yoon-hae-ri from her stealth corvette Silent Grave. Her ship was barely visible even to human sensors. Should we introduce ourselves? Why not? Wu Jin replied. He opened a channel back to the Devourers. This is Commander Song Wu Jin of the Human Defense Force. You are trespassing in protected space. Withdraw immediately or be destroyed. The A. Response was immediate. Human. Species file not found. Will study. Will consume. Will improve. Species file not found, laughed Captain Lee Hyo-jin. They've never heard of us. This is going to be educational. The Devourer fleet began to move faster, rushing toward the human ships like a tidal wave of metal and hunger. Their weapons were already charging, reality-warping energies that could tear apart normal matter. All ships, Wu Jin announced. Begin the lesson. The human fleet didn't charge forward like traditional warriors. Instead, they simply vanished. The Devourer's sensors went wild, trying to track 200 ships that had suddenly stopped existing. Their adaptive intelligence worked frantically to understand what had happened. Then the attacks began. Lieutenant Colonel Yoon-hae-ri's ship Silent Grave appeared next to a Devourer vessel and touched it gently. The alien ship immediately began to dissolve, its molecular bonds coming apart like sand in the wind. Entropy cannon working perfectly, she reported casually. One down. Major Kang Dong-su's assault troops were already inside another Devourer ship, but they hadn't cut through the hull or teleported aboard. They had convinced space itself to move them there. His soldiers moved through the ship's corridors like living shadows, their weapons rewriting the laws of physics with each shot. This is easier than the training simulations, reported Sergeant Major Han Ji-woo, as his squad dissolved an entire deck of Devourer machinery. His rifle fired pure entropy, unmaking matter at the quantum level. The Devourers tried to adapt. Their ships began changing, growing new armor and weapons. But every adaptation only made them more vulnerable to human attacks. Captain Lee Hyo-jin's ship fired probability missiles that made Devourer shots miss by changing the laws of cause and effect. The alien weapons fired perfectly, but somehow, their targets weren't where they should have been. They're learning our attack patterns, warned Dr. So-young through the quantum network. Her consciousness analyzed the battle from multiple dimensions at once. Perfect, replied Commander Wu Jin. The more they learn, the more they understand how doomed they are. This was humanity's secret. 800 years of preparation hadn't just made them stronger or smarter. It had taught them to fight enemies that adapted. Every human weapon, every tactic was designed to become more dangerous the more it was studied. The Devourer's learning ability, their greatest strength, became their weakness. The more they analyzed human attacks, the more vulnerable they became to the next wave. Lieutenant Park Soo-min's consciousness rode through the enemy ships like a digital ghost. Her mind existed as pure information, rewriting Devourer programming from the inside. She turned their own weapons against them, made their ships attack each other. I'm in their network, she reported. Their collective intelligence is trying to isolate me, but they don't understand information warfare like we do. The battle lasted 6 hours. When it was over, the Devourer fleet was gone. Not destroyed, not scattered. Gone. The human weapons had unmade them so completely that they had never existed. Casualty report, requested Wu Jin. "Zero human losses," replied Lieutenant Park Min-young. "The enemy achieved zero damage against our fleet." "And the Devourers?" "Complete extinction of this force. No survivors, no escape pods, no information packets sent back to their main fleet." Wu Jin nodded with satisfaction. The first lesson was complete. The Devourers had learned that there were monsters in the galaxy more terrible than they were. "Signal the galaxy," he ordered. "Tell them we're just getting started." As the human fleet prepared to jump to the next Devourer position, the fabric of space around them twisted and bent. They weren't just moving through the galaxy, they were rewriting it as they went. The Devourers had adapted to everything the galaxy could throw at them, but they had never faced humans before. And humans had spent 800 years learning to be the thing that adaptation couldn't save you from. Admiral Kavi watched the battle recordings for the 5th time, his crystal features reflecting the impossible energies displayed on the screen. Around him, in the Galactic Command Center, representatives from 47 species sat in stunned silence. "This can't be real," whispered Ambassador Yelu, her 6 arms wrapped tightly around herself. "These readings, they're impossible." "I wish they were," replied Dr. Vela, the Therian science officer. Her tentacles moved frantically over her analysis equipment. "But I've checked the data 17 times. The humans aren't just fighting. The Devourers. They're rewriting the laws of physics while they do it." On the screen, they watched human ships phase in and out of reality. The vessels didn't look like machines anymore. They moved like living creatures, flowing through space in ways that hurt to watch. "Show them the weapon analysis," ordered Chancellor Voss from his floating chair. Dr. Vela activated a new display. "This is a human soldier's rifle. According to our sensors, it fires weaponized entropy. It doesn't destroy matter. It convinces matter to forget how to exist." General Mako of the warrior clans leaned forward. "That's not possible. You can't weaponize entropy." "You can't," Dr. Vela agreed. "Neither can we. Neither can any species we've ever encountered. But humans can, and that's just their basic infantry weapon." She changed the display again. "This is Captain Lee Hyo-jin's ship firing what they call probability missiles. The weapons don't hit their targets. They change reality so that the targets hit themselves." Ambassador Neela from the Peaceful Confederation was pale with shock. "What have they become?" "Monsters," said Admiral Kavi quietly. 800 years ago, we locked them away because they were too violent, too unpredictable. We thought we were protecting the galaxy from them. Instead," added Chancellor Voss, "we gave them 8 centuries to perfect the art of being monstrous." The screen showed new footage. Human soldiers walking through Devourer ships like ghosts. Their weapons didn't fire energy or projectiles. They fired concepts, death, entropy, the end of existence itself. "Look at this soldier." Dr. Vela pointed to Sergeant Major Han Ji-woo on the screen. "He's fighting in hard vacuum without a suit. His biology has been modified so extensively that he can survive in space itself." They watched as Han Ji-woo's squad moved through a Devourer mothership. The alien constructs tried to adapt to human attacks, but every adaptation only made them more vulnerable. "The Devourers are learning," observed General Mako. "They're changing their tactics." "Yes," agreed Dr. Vela, "but the humans designed their weapons to become more dangerous the more they're studied. It's like they're fighting an enemy that adapts. By becoming more effective weapons." A new transmission came in from the front lines. Commander Song Woo-jin appeared on the main screen, his face calm and professional. "Galactic Command, this is Human Fleet 7. We've eliminated the Devourer force in the Vega system. No human casualties. Complete enemy extinction." "Complete extinction?" asked Admiral Kavi. What do you mean? I mean, we didn't just destroy them, Wu Jin replied. We removed them from existence, past, present, and future. The devourers in this system never existed. The room fell silent. Even the concept was terrifying. How is that possible? Whispered Ambassador Neela. Temporal warfare, Wu Jin answered casually. We edit the timeline so that our enemies were never born. It's very effective. Chancellor Voss felt 800 years of age weighing on him. Commander, what are your orders regarding the liberated systems? We're establishing monitoring stations, Wu Jin replied. Don't worry. We're not claiming territory. We're just making sure the devourers can't come back. The transmission ended, leaving the galactic leaders alone with their growing fear. Monitoring. Stations, muttered General Mako. They're taking control of the systems they've liberated. Can we stop them? Asked Ambassador Yelu. Dr. Vela laughed bitterly. Stop them. We can barely understand their technology. They've gone beyond anything we can comprehend. A new alert chimed. Another battle report was coming in, this time from Major Kang Dongsu's ground forces. The humans have landed on Kepler 442b, reported the communications officer. The planet was completely consumed by devourers. Nothing left but bare rock. Impossible, said Admiral Kavi. Our scans showed no life on that world. Watch, said Dr. Vela, activating the planet's surface scanners. They stared in amazement as Kepler 442b began to change. Plants started growing. Oceans appeared. Cities rose from the ground. They're not just destroying the devourers, Dr. Vela explained. They're reversing the damage, restoring the planets, bringing back the people who died. How? Demanded General Mako. Temporal reconstruction, came Major Kang Dongsu's voice over the communicator. We're pulling the planet's history from before the Devourer attack and layering it over the present. The people don't even know they died. The implications hit the room like a physical blow. Humans weren't just winning the war, they were undoing it completely. The survivors on those worlds, said Ambassador Neela slowly, they'll think the humans saved them. No, corrected Chancellor Voss. They'll think the humans are gods. Another transmission arrived. This time it was Dr. Lee So-young, her consciousness manifesting as pure light. Galactic Command, we've located the Devourer source. They're coming from outside our galaxy, through a dimensional rift in the void between. Stars. Can you close it? Asked Admiral Kavi hopefully. Close it? So-young's holographic form smiled coldly. We're going to seal it, then hunt down whoever opened it. The Devourers were just a weapon. Someone sent them here. The transmission ended, leaving the galactic leaders staring at each other in growing horror. They're going outside the galaxy, whispered Ambassador Yelu. To hunt down the beings who sent the Devourers, added General Mako. Beings powerful enough to create the Devourers, finished Chancellor Voss. Dr. Vela was checking her sensors again. I'm detecting massive energy buildups in human space. They're preparing something big. What kind of energy? Asked Admiral Kavi. Unknown, Dr. Vela replied. The readings don't match anything in our databases, but the power levels. She paused, double-checking her instruments. The power levels suggest they're preparing to crack reality itself. The room fell silent as everyone absorbed this information. Humanity had already demonstrated impossible technologies. Now they were preparing to do something even more terrifying. Maybe we made a mistake, said Ambassador Neela quietly. What do you mean? Asked General Mako. Maybe we should have let the Devourers win. At least they would have killed us quickly. Nobody disagreed with her. They had asked for monsters to save them from monsters. Now they were beginning to understand that some cures were worse than the disease. In the depths of space, human fleets continued their advance, not just fighting the devourers, but hunting them with an efficiency that was almost artistic in its perfection. The galaxy was being saved, but the price of salvation was becoming clear. Humanity had evolved beyond the need for permission, beyond the reach of control, beyond anything the galaxy could understand or contain. They were no longer the monsters the galaxy remembered. They had become something much worse. They had become gods of war. 6 months after humanity's deployment, the devourer threat no longer existed. Not defeated, not scattered, not hiding in some distant corner of space. Simply gone, as if they had never been. General Kim Nari stood on the observation deck of her command ship Inevitable, looking out at the galaxy that had once imprisoned her species. The stars looked different now, cleaner, more organized. Human fleets had left their mark on reality itself. "Final report," she requested. Colonel Choi. Minho materialized beside her, his cybernetic form gleaming under the starlight. "Complete mission success. All devourer forces eliminated. Source points sealed. The beings who sent them have been discouraged from future attempts." Nari smiled. The smile would have terrified the galactic leaders who thought they knew what humanity was capable of. "Casualties?" "0 human losses across all theaters," Choi replied. "Total enemy extinction achieved. We also restored 47 devastated worlds and resurrected approximately 3 billion sentient beings." "And the galaxy's response?" "Dr. Lee So-young's consciousness manifested as a shimmering pattern of light. Mixed, as expected. Gratitude, mixed with terror. They're celebrating their salvation while simultaneously trying to figure out how to contain us again." Nari laughed, a sound like music played on instruments of war. "Contain us? After what they've seen?" "Chancellor Voss has sent 3 separate requests for our withdrawal to pre-war boundaries," So-young reported. "Admiral Kavi has been asking about our long-term intentions. Ambassador Yelu wants to know if we plan to claim the systems we've liberated." "Of course they're nervous," said Captain Park Dae-ho, joining them on the observation deck. His patrol ship had just returned from the Outer Rim, where human forces were conducting final cleanup operations. They asked for monsters and got gods instead. Through the viewports, they could see the results of human intervention. Space itself looked different. Cleaner geometry, more efficient energy flows. Humanity hadn't just fought in this region, they had improved it. "Sir," reported Lieutenant Kim Sora from the communication station, "we're receiving a priority transmission from Galactic Command." "Put it through," Nari ordered. Chancellor Voss appeared on the main screen, his ancient features showing relief and fear in equal measure. "General Nari, on behalf of the Galactic Council, I want to express our deepest gratitude for humanity's intervention. The galaxy owes you an unpayable debt." "You're welcome," Nari replied simply. "However," Voss continued, his voice becoming more formal, "the Council feels it would be best if human forces return to their designated sector. The emergency is over and normal galactic governance should resume." Nari exchanged glances with her officers. They could hear what Voss wasn't saying. "Please go back to your cage. Please pretend you're still the same monsters we locked away 8 centuries ago." "Of course," Nari said pleasantly. We'll begin withdrawal immediately. The relief on Voss's face was obvious. Thank you, General. Perhaps in time when the galaxy has healed from this crisis, we can discuss normalizing relations between humanity and the galactic community. Perhaps, Nari agreed. Though I should mention, we've made some improvements to the systems we've liberated. Better energy efficiency, enhanced defensive capabilities, improved trade routes. The inhabitants seem quite pleased with the changes. Voss's relief began to fade. What kind of improvements? Nothing major, Nari said casually. We've just optimized local space-time to be more conducive to life and prosperity, removed some unnecessary gravitational anomalies, improved stellar, fusion efficiency, enhanced planetary magnetic fields, basic quality of life improvements. You've, modified stellar physics? Voss asked weakly. Only locally, Nari assured him. The changes will only last a few thousand years, unless the inhabitants specifically request permanent modifications, of course. The transmission ended with Voss looking like he'd swallowed something unpleasant. Think he understands the message? Asked Choi Min-ho. That we could rewrite the laws of physics in their core systems just as easily? Nari considered this. Oh, yes. He understands perfectly. Major Yoon-Hai Ri flickered into visibility nearby. Her ship had been conducting reconnaissance throughout the galaxy during the withdrawal. The populations in the liberated systems are petitioning their governments to request permanent human protection. They've seen what we can do. And their government's response? Panic, Hari reported with amusement. They're terrified of setting a precedent. If one system gets human protection, others will want it too. Nari nodded thoughtfully. And then the question becomes, who's really in charge of the galaxy? The human fleet had been withdrawing for weeks, but their departure was nothing like their arrival. Where they had torn holes in reality to reach the battlefield, they now moved slowly and visibly, making sure everyone could see them leaving. But they weren't really leaving. Not entirely. Monitoring stations are fully operational, reported Dr. So Young. Quantum surveillance networks are active. We'll know immediately if any new threats emerge. And our response time? Asked Nari. Anywhere in the galaxy in under 30 seconds, So Young replied. Faster if we're feeling motivated. Captain Park Dae-ho was studying the tactical displays. The galaxy spent 800 years thinking they had us contained. Now they realize we were just visiting. We were never really contained, Nari corrected. We stayed in our solar system because we chose to. Because isolation gave us time to grow, to become something better. Something more dangerous, added Choi Min-ho. Same thing, Nari replied, as the last human ships crossed back into Sector 7 Alpha. A final message was transmitted on all galactic frequencies. It was simple, polite, and absolutely terrifying in its implications. Thank you for the opportunity to serve. Should the galaxy require assistance again, please don't hesitate to ask. We'll be watching. The message was signed by General Kim Nari, but every species in the galaxy understood it came from humanity as a whole. On Nexus Prime, the Galactic Council met in emergency session to discuss their new reality. They had saved their civilization by releasing monsters they couldn't control. Now they had to live with the consequences. They're not the same species we quarantined, Admiral Kavi said quietly. They've evolved beyond our understanding. Beyond our ability to contain, added General Mako. Beyond our right to judge, finished Chancellor Voss. In the outer systems, colonists looked up at stars that burned brighter and more efficiently thanks to human modifications. Their children were learning new physics from textbooks that described impossible technologies as routine engineering. The galaxy was safe. The devourers were gone. Humanity had withdrawn to their designated space. But everyone understood the truth. Now. The cage had never been real. Humanity had simply been sleeping, growing stronger in their dreams of war. Now they were awake, and the galaxy would never be the same. In the depths of human space, construction continued on projects that would have driven the galactic leaders insane if they could comprehend them. Ships that existed in multiple dimensions. Weapons that fired pure concept. Technologies that made reality itself negotiable. Humanity had saved the galaxy, and in saving it, they had claimed it. Not through conquest or threat, but through the simple demonstration of what they had become. The galaxy now belonged to humanity, not because they had taken it, but because no one else was capable of protecting it. The monsters had returned to their cage. But the cage door was open now, and everyone knew who held the key.